The Fantasy Skirmisher.
Seven Wonders Duel by Antoine Bauza and Bruno Cathala is one of my favorite two-player games. It plays quickly, there's no downtime. I love the tableau building, civilization building aspect of it, and the different paths to victory. So I was quite excited when they came out with Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. And for me, as my concern is it more of the same? Does it have a different feel? And so that's what we're going to take a look at, because the new game does differ in some significant ways, which in my opinion makes it the better game. Am I going to get rid of one of them? No. I am going to keep Seven Wonders Duel because I do love antiquity. I'm a big history buff, and I love ancient civilizations and the history. So I'm going to hang on to that. But this, I think, is the superior game, and we're going to talk about why. Before we start gameplay, just a quick impression of the components. As you can see in the new version of Duel, Lord of the Rings Duel, the cards are bigger than the original game, as you can see here. And also, here's a Seven Wonder. It is, a card. Whereas the locations, the equivalent in the new game, is a cardboard tile. In this case, Minas Tirith. Let's take a look at the cards by chapter. Or in the original game, it's called Age. So the green cards in the original game represented science. And you collect science, and match up symbols for benefits and victory points. And here, this is races. So we've got the hobbits. And look at this beautiful artwork. The artwork is done by Vincent Dutray, and he's done lots of artwork for board games. And one I have that I reviewed recently, last July, was Ultray. So we've got the elves and the humans and dwarf, and just a single card for the first chapter. Blue cards were VPs in the Seven Wonders Duel game, but here, this is a way to be able to move up either Sauron the Nazgul or the Fellowship on a tracker as they race towards Mount Doom. And we'll see that after the setup. Red cards, like the original, are military, except the military game here plays completely different. It's area control with some maneuver compared to just that tug of war back and forth in the original game. And then the gray cards here, these represent skills, whereas in the old game they were resources. And so what we have here is strength, courage, ruse, leadership, and knowledge. And finally, gold is how you get coins. And the coins in this game only come in one denomination, one, as compared to 1, 3, and 6 in the older game, because the currency is completely different than the original game. Now let's take a look at the second chapter cards. And each card back, here's our first chapter, has number 1 if you cannot read the runes. And they're also different colors. So here you've got second chapter, and then of course the third, which the back looks like that. So with the second chapter here, we have the same races, different artwork, as you can see, beautiful. And we've got some, looks like female dwarves here, but without their beards. Absolutely stunning artwork. And then we have a different piece of art for Gollum. And got a couple of cards here that can move 2 spaces. And you'll notice here the symbol, just like the original game, Seven Wonders Duel, if you have a card that has that symbol, like down here, and then it comes up, you could play it for free. And so you can see there's some different costs associated with that. The military cards, so it was just military symbols in Seven Wonders Duel, and you just move up and down a track. Here, this says take 2 miniatures, or say little wooden meeples. So here is the free peoples there, and let's take a quick look at, aren't they nice? Some orcs for Sauron. And so here it has different places on the map board, which you'll look at, that you could place two troops either here or here at this location. And so you either have to pay the resources, or if you have a matching symbol, then you could play that for free. And we only have 2 gold cards, but they're higher value compared to the 4 before, which were lower value. And then we've got more of the skills. And just like the other game, it's this or that, if there's a line in between it. Just stunning artwork, huh? Just beautiful. All right, now let's take a look at the 3rd and final chapter. In the 3rd chapter, there's a big ramp up to race to one of the 3 winning conditions here. So with the green cards here, we got some new races here to collect that 6 set to be able to win. So we've got the Ents, and we've got the Wizards, which may complete your set. If you have 5 unique races already, this might be your 6th one for the win condition. And then we've got, of course, different artwork for Gollum here. They're all moved 2 spaces on that track, which we'll see. And then lots more troops that could come out with the military cards. Just a couple more coin cards worth 5 coins each. And there's no skill cards in the 3rd chapter here. We've got these purple cards, and these are maneuver cards. Well, here this forces your opponent to, you could remove one of their troops, and they have to discard 2 coins. And you can see there. Now the arrows, that's where it could come into play for the win in the 3rd chapter here, because this allows you to move 1, 2, or 3 units on the map. So you can move to different locations and try to get that area majority, which is another win condition. So let's go ahead and set up the game, as we're going to start a new game with Chapter 1, and talk about just a couple more aspects of this game. Here is the setup for the beginning of the game. So you've got 3 location cards. The rest are face down stacked next to it. You've got alliance tokens that could give you benefits. And then you've got the map of Middle Earth. And then you've got the ring track here, and of course the central play area, which is set up just like in the original game. So Sauron goes first, so he gets 2 coins, and then Fellowship goes second, so they get 3 coins. So let's just do a couple of things here. So let's, first of all, on your turn, you could either take a chapter card or take a landmark tile. So since we can't afford landmark tiles because they're quite expensive, let's just say we're going to take this one. And so this allows us to put 1 troop either in Lindon or in Arnor. So let's go down to the map here. So I'm going to, as Sauron, take this card. And of course I'll place it in my play area face down. Again, the card says I could place 1 troop either here or there. So Lindon or Arnor. So if I place it in Lindon, now I have presence in this area. Now, if I put it in Arnor, where there's a couple of troops already, what I would do is, well, we'd have a conflict, and it's just an exchange 1 for 1. But I don't want to do that yet, so let's just say I put it in Lindon. So that's how the red cards work. Now, this is a second age card where you've got cost. So say we're in the second age and I pulled a military card. Well, this would cost me this unless I had a card like the one I just drew, which has the symbol on top here and it matches the cost. If that's the case, then I could play this card for free and take its action and put it in my tableau. Now it is the Fellowship's turn, and they are going to take a card off the other end because they want to move towards Mount Doom. So when I play this card, what we do is we just slide the track 1 space. And you can notice the Nazgul moves along with us, so they're still the same distance apart. Now, however, if Sauron picked this card, then he would move up 1 space like this. So one of the win conditions is if the Nazgul catch up to Sam and Frodo here, the ring is captured by Sauron and the game is over. Also, if the Fellowship moves to this spot right here, Mount Doom, then they toss the ring into Mount Doom, destroy the ring, and the game is over, and the Fellowship wins. And as I mentioned earlier, in this video, when we looked at some of the components here. So this is the Seven Wonders dual military map here. And all it is, it's a kind of a tug of war. So there's some tokens on here which make the opponent lose coins if the enemy gets into this area. So you win a military victory if you move and destroy your opponent's city, plus you gain the victory points wherever you stand up. So it is just, a tug of war. So here it's a little more dynamic because it's area control, because in the third chapter you could move troops around. And one of the win conditions is having an area majority, so controlling the most areas. So that becomes very important to keep an eye on the map of Middle Earth as you are winding down the game in the third chapter there. It is now Sauron's turn, and he wants to take this and add 2 coins to his play area. Now, coins work differently than the original game. So, for example, in this game, let's just say I'm missing knowledge, and I happen to have 2 ruse icons in my tableau, in my playing area. In that case, I just need to spend 1 coin to fill in any missing thing, any missing skill that I don't have. And so that is a lot different and a lot more streamlined than the previous game. So for example, in Seven Wonders Duel, if I wanted to purchase this card right here, I would need to spend 2 coins, 1 glass, and 1 papyrus. Now let's just say that I don't have any papyrus, but I have everything else. So if my opponent did not have any papyrus in his tableau, which I would need to check, then I would just spend 2 coins to be able to meet this requirement for papyrus. Now let's just say that he had 1 or more papyrus. So it would be 2 coins plus however many papyrus in his tableau. So you can see this is a little more mathy, a little more complicated, as opposed to just spending a coin for any missing skill that you may have. So play moves back and forth until the last card is taken, and then you set up another card tableau. In this case, it would be a reverse pyramid for chapter 2, and then continue the game. And one of the things I love about this game, which is the same for the previous version, is as simple as this is, just taking of cards that are available that are face up on the tableau and available. There's a lot of decision making as far as which card to take, because for example, if there is a card that your opponent wants, you might just want to grab it, and even though you don't need it, you just discard it for however many coins, depending on the chapter. And so that's a great way to kind of deprive your opponent of moving on the Fellowship track, or collecting enough races, which represents getting an alliance in Middle Earth to be able to combat your opponent. And so that is just really a wonderful aspect of the Duel series. Besides taking a chapter card, what you could also do is take a landmark tile. So let's just say it's Sauron's turn, and he happens to have enough resources to take Barad-dûr in Mordor here. So what he would do is able to take a fortress marker, or whatever you want to call it, and then place it in Mordor like this. So it adds presence, and unlike troops, they do not get destroyed. So that's really helpful in trying to take control of Middle Earth. And of course it has the other effect as well. So taking a look at Barad-dûr, place 1 fortress marker in Mordor, and then this means take all the cards in the discard, secretly choose 1, and then play it for free. Very cool. And so here it's got the help sheet for Quest of Ring effects, landmark effects, and then race effects as well, which come from these markers here, which we'll talk about now. But before we do, just so you know that a third tile would not be replaced. It's only done at the beginning of a new chapter. So if we were starting chapter 2, then a new tile would come out. In the course of the game, if you happen to collect 2 matching race cards, okay, so in this case the humans, then what you would do is as soon as you have the 2 matching ones, you take the top 2 alliance tokens of this race. So for the humans, we would take the top 2, and then what we do is we would choose one to place in front of us, and then we would put the other token face down on top of its stack. And then there is a handy reference right here that tells you what they do. So in the case of this, when you play a red card, place 1 additional unit in the chosen region. That's cool. And then this one, when you discard a card, take 2 times the coins associated with the current chapter, either 2, 4, or 6 coins from the reserve. Also very nice. So let's just say, for example, I just decided to take this one, did benefit, this one would go on top. Now the other way to grab a card is if you have 3 different race symbols. And if that's the situation, let's just say like this, then what we would do is once per game, when you have 3 different race symbols, take the top alliance token of each of these 3 races and reveal them. So what you do is you would choose one to place in front of you, and you may now benefit from its effect. Then you put the other 2 tokens face down on top, just like if you had a matching pair. In Seven Wonders Duel, victory is determined by the number of victory points, and it is a point salad with with a sheet of score markers, and you go down each one and add up all your victory points, like this game from 2016. But in this game, it's much more simple, it's streamlined, so there's 3 ways to win. You have the quest for the ring, and if the Fellowship moves to Mount Doom, they win the game. Or, for Sauron, if the Nazgul catch up to the Fellowship, they win the game. There's support for the races. If you gather 6 different race symbols, like we do here, on your green cards, you rally the support of the races of Middle-earth, and you immediately win the game. Now, there's also, obviously, the war game, Conquering Middle-earth. And, you got to be very mindful of this, because if you are present in all 7 regions with a fortress and or at least 1 unit, you dominate Middle-earth and immediately win the game. So if none of these 3 victory conditions are achieved by the end of Chapter 3, the player who is present in most of the regions here of Middle-earth with a fortress or a unit wins the game. In case of a tie, share the victory, which makes no sense because Sauron, the Dark Lord, the Necromancer, is not going to share a victory with the free people. I would just say it's a stalemate, right? Okay, so that is how you win. Again, much more simple, much more streamlined. And sometimes it'll just come down to whoever has the most presence. So in this case, it would be Sauron, 4-1. I highly recommend this game. It keeps all the best aspects of Seven Wonders Duel, but takes some of the clunky parts, such as the trading, and the mathy elements, and streamlines it, as well as the victory conditions. There's 3 set victory conditions that feels like Lord of the Rings, and just plays quickly. There's no downtime. And so once you play one game, you could just quickly turn around and set up and start playing another game as the other player, either Sauron or the Fellowship. So again, I'm happy to have this game. And of course, the artwork is stunning. Vincent Dutray, who did Ultray, is a fantastic artist. And I'm happy to have any game that has his artwork in my collection. All right, guys, thank you for watching the Fantasy Skirmisher, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.